At our family Thanksgiving, my grandma pulled me aside and handed me a VHS tape. She said, "Don't watch it with the lights on." I played it in the den. It was footage of my mom screaming, "Take her back, I changed my mind." Then a nurse yelled, "It's too late. You signed her over." I was only 4 months old. I was standing in my grandma's narrow hallway in Dayton, Ohio, holding this dusty VHS tape she'd pulled from the back of her cupboard like it was some cursed relic. She pressed it into my hand with this weirdly firm grip and whispered, "Don't watch it with the lights on." Then she walked away before I could even ask what the hell that meant. Thanksgiving noise was swirling through the house. Kids running around, my uncles arguing about football, my mom laughing way too loudly in the kitchen like she always did when she'd had more than 2 glasses of wine. It was all normal. Completely normal. And somehow that made the whole thing even worse. I took the tape to the den because it was the only quiet room in the house. The blinds were half closed, the air smelled dusty, and the old VCR sat under the TV like it had been waiting for this exact moment. I kept staring at the label, just a date written in my grandma's shaky handwriting. The date I was born. My chest was already tight, but I pushed the tape in. The screen flickered, static crackled, and then the picture stabilized. What popped up didn't look real at first. A hospital hallway, harsh lighting. A young woman sobbing so hard her whole body shook. It took me a second to realize the woman was my mom, except she looked younger than I'd ever seen her, hair tangled, mascara smeared, eyes wild. She screamed, "Take her back, I changed my mind, I want her back." Then another voice, sharper, colder, cut in, a nurse. "It's too late, you signed her over, you can't take her back now." I felt my stomach drop so fast I nearly fell forward. My mom lunged at someone off screen, yelling, "Give me my baby, she's mine." That's when it hit me. I was the baby. 4 months old at the time, according to every story I'd grown up hearing. Stories about how my mom loved me instantly. Stories about how she fought to keep me. Stories about how she would have done anything to protect me. All lies. The camera angle shifted, and for half a second I saw a nurse carrying a tiny bundle in a pink blanket. My mom screamed again. My throat closed up. My hands were shaking so badly the remote almost slipped out of them. I froze the frame and just stared. My mom had tried to give me up. Worse, she had actually signed something, something official, something binding, something that said she didn't want me. I leaned back on the couch, feeling like the floor was tilting under me. Thanksgiving laughter sounded muffled through the walls, faint and far away, like another world. I kept hearing my mom's voice echoing in my ears, raw, desperate, horrifying. "Take her back, I changed my mind." Changed her mind? Meaning she did want to give me away before that moment. Meaning she only wanted me back after something went wrong. I rewound it. I played it again. I kept waiting for context. A reason, a sign this wasn't as bad as it looked. Nothing, just my mom screaming, the nurse snapping at her, and the baby, me being carried out of the room. I was breathing too fast. My chest hurt. My vision kept blurring with tears I didn't remember letting out. Why did Grandma have this tape? Why now? Why give it to me at Thanksgiving, of all days? And why the hell did she say not to watch it with the lights on? Before I could think of anything else, I heard a soft knock on the den door. Then my mom's voice, way too calm, "Sweetheart, what are you doing in there?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the doorknob as it slowly turned. Part 2, backstory, 550-600 words. My mom opened the den door like she expected to find me scrolling on my phone or sneaking a nap. The second she saw the frozen VHS frame on the TV, her whole body went rigid. She didn't even blink. She just stood there in the doorway, her hand still on the knob, like she'd walked straight into a nightmare she thought she'd buried decades ago. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. She shut the door behind her slowly like the sound might set something off. "Who gave you that?" she whispered. I swallowed hard. "Grandma." My mom's jaw clenched so tight I could see a vein in her temple twitch. She walked over and hit the power button on the TV like she needed the image gone immediately, like it physically hurt her to look at it. The screen went black. For a second, neither of us talked. I could hear the muffled sounds of dishes and laughter on the other side of the door, but in the den everything felt frozen. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" I finally said. She didn't answer. Instead, she sat down on the other end of the couch and stared at the carpet. Her hands were shaking. I'd seen her angry, I'd seen her tipsy, I'd seen her stressed, but I'd never seen her afraid. Not like this. Not of me. I grew up thinking my mom was this steady, grounding force, maybe not perfect, but always there. She raised me alone in Dayton after my dad bilayed when I was 2. She worked double shifts at the grocery store, went to every school performance even when she had to sit in the back still wearing her apron. She made me feel wanted, needed, loved. She told me I was her miracle baby, her reason for everything. That she'd never risk losing me. So seeing her on that tape, hands stretched out, screaming for a nurse to give me back, felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my entire sense of self. None of it fit the version of her I grew up with. None of it made sense at all. "Mom," I said again, "why didn't you tell me?" She let out a shaky breath. "Because it wasn't what it looked like. That tape was you signing me away. It wasn't like that." Her voice broke. "You don't understand what was happening back then." I waited, but she didn't continue, so I pushed. "Then explain it." She covered her face with both hands, elbows on her knees. For a second, I almost felt bad. Almost. But the image of her screaming take her back was burned into the inside of my skull. "You were born early," she finally said. "4 months is what we told people because it was easier. You were actually born at 31 weeks. There were complications, bills, doctors talking like I wasn't even in the room. I was alone, completely alone. Your father had disappeared and—" "Mom," I cut in quietly, "that tape wasn't about medical bills." She flinched. I kept going. "That nurse said you signed me over. Sign me over to who?" She looked at me and the fear in her eyes hit me like a punch. Not guilt, not shame, fear. "That tape shouldn't exist," she whispered. "Your grandma, she wasn't supposed to keep it." Something cold slid down my spine. "Keep it from who?" She swallowed hard. Her voice dropped even lower. "From the people who almost took you." Before I could say a word, someone knocked on the den door again, harder this time. My grandmother's voice came through, tight and urgent. "Don't open that door, not until I explain everything." My mom and I just stared at each other when Grandma's voice came through the door. She didn't sound like herself. Gone was the soft, shaky tone she always used when she wanted everyone to calm down. This voice was sharp, commanding. Almost scared, my mom stood up fast. "Mom, don't—" But Grandma spoke again, louder this time. "Don't open that door, she's listening." My blood ran cold. My mom's face drained of color. She pressed a finger to her lips and motioned for me to stay silent. Then she stepped closer to the door but didn't touch it. "Who?" my mom whispered. There was a beat of silence, then Grandma said, "You know exactly who. And she's been waiting for this for years." My mom swore under her breath, something I hadn't heard her say since I was a kid. She backed away from the door like it might burst open any second. I stood up too, completely lost. "Can someone please tell me what the hell is going on?" I demanded. "Who's she? What does this have to do with me?" My mom grabbed my arm, not hard but urgently. "We can't talk here." "That's enough," Grandma snapped from the hallway. Her voice shook now, but not from age, from panic. "Nora, open this door before you make this worse." My mom took a long, steady breath and whispered to me, "Whatever you do, don't trust anything she says." That hit me like a slap. My mom telling me not to trust her own mother. My brain couldn't catch up. The doorknob jiggled. Twice. Then Grandma said, "Nora, if you don't let me in right now, everything I've protected her from will come undone. You know I'm the only reason she's safe." Safe from what? My heart felt like it was pounding inside my throat. "Mom," I said quietly, "what did you protect me from?" She looked at me like she was about to break. But she didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed the VHS tape, shoved it under her sweater, and motioned for me to follow her toward the window. "We're leaving," she said. "Right now." "Leaving?" I hissed. "It's Thanksgiving," she cut me off. "You don't understand. She never should have shown you that tape. It puts you back on their radar." "There," my voice rose. "Who the hell is they?" Before she could answer, the doorknob rattled again, hard enough this time that the whole door trembled. "Open this door," Grandma barked. "Now." My mom grabbed the window lock, but it wouldn't budge. Old paint had sealed it shut. She muttered a curse. "We need another exit." That was when the house suddenly went silent. No laughter. No dishes clattering. No voices, just nothing. Like someone had hit mute on the entire world outside the den. Mom froze. Grandma must have realized it too because her voice dropped into a whisper, so faint I barely heard it. "Nora, she's here." My mom's eyes widened with real terror. Then, like the moment before a storm when the air goes heavy, we heard slow footsteps right outside the den door. Not Grandma's, these steps were lighter, sharper, confident. My mom backed away from the door, pulling me with her. Then a woman's voice, smooth, unfamiliar, too calm, said from the hallway, "Open the door, Nora. I just want to see her." My heart stopped. Grandma's voice came right after, frantic. "Don't you dare open it. That's not who she says she is. That's not." A loud thud hit the door, cutting her off. The whole frame shook. My mom grabbed my face with both hands, forced me to look at her, and whispered, "I need you to listen. No matter what you hear, no matter what she says, you do not let her touch you. Not again." Again, my mouth went dry. "What do you mean again?" My mom didn't answer. Because the doorknob started turning, slowly, deliberately, and whoever was on the other side was pushing their way in. The doorknob stopped turning just before the latch clicked open. Whoever was on the other side let their hand rest there a second like they were savoring the tension. My mom yanked me behind her and squared her shoulders toward the door. Then the voice came again, smooth, warm, almost affectionate. "Sweetheart," the woman said, "you've grown. I knew you would." My entire body shook. I didn't recognize her voice, not even close. But the way she said it, soft, intimate, made bile burn the back of my throat. My mom didn't hesitate. She lunged at the door and slammed her palm against it to keep it shut. The woman on the other side laughed. A slow, patient laugh, like she'd expected the resistance. Grandma's voice came next, panicked and breathless. "Go to the kitchen, Nora." The back door, but the woman snapped, silence, and the sound cut off. Grandma didn't speak again. Mom whipped around to me. "I need you to breathe, just breathe, okay? We're getting out of this." The doorknob jerked violently, like someone was testing how strong the deadbolt was. Except, there was no deadbolt. Mom shoved her weight against the door just as it started to crack open. I grabbed her arm to help, even though my legs were shaking so hard I could barely stay upright. The woman sighed, annoyed. "You always were dramatic, Nora." Hearing this stranger say my mom's name hit me harder than the tape. Hard enough that I felt something inside me split, like I was losing my grip on what was real. "Who are you?" I yelled. There was a pause, then, "You don't remember me," she said softly. "That hurts." Mom shook her head violently. "Don't talk to her, don't you dare talk to her." The woman ignored her completely. "Sweetheart, I held you first, before anyone else did." I blinked fast. "What?" Mom's breath hitched. "Stop. Stop right now." "You were so small," the woman continued, "so quiet. You opened your eyes and looked straight at me. You recognized me, you knew you were mine." My chest tightened. Hard, mine, the word echoed sickeningly. I whispered, "Mom, who is she?" My mom didn't answer. Not right away. And that silence, that hesitation, felt like someone shoved a knife through my ribs. Because if there was nothing to hide, she would have said something instantly. The woman must have sensed the shift because she let out a small laugh. "She didn't tell you." Mom pressed her forehead against the door, eyes squeezed shut. "Please, don't do this." "Tell her," the woman said gently. "Tell her who I am." When my mom didn't respond, the woman answered for her. "I'm the one she signed you over to." The room spun. "No, no, that's impossible." Mom opened her eyes, tears streaking down her face. "It wasn't what you think," but the woman talked right over her, calm, confident. "You weren't supposed to stay with her. She changed her mind, but the paperwork was done. You were already mine, legally." My stomach turned to ice. "Why didn't I grow up with you then?" I asked, voice cracking. The woman chuckled, dark and cold. "Because Nora stole you." Mom slammed her fists into the door. "She was unstable. You weren't safe with her." "You kidnapped her," the woman corrected, voice sharp now. "You ran with her, you hid her, you ruined everything." Kidnapped, hid, stole. The words hit like physical blows. My mom reached for me, hands trembling. "Sweetheart, I was protecting you. By taking her," the woman snapped. "By disappearing with someone else's child." The door frame groaned as the woman pressed more forcefully against it. "You were never hers," she whispered. That sentence hollowed me out, because deep down, in the tiny part of my brain still clinging to logic, something about it felt true, and the woman knew it. "We're done with games," she said. "Open the door." The wood splintered. My mom screamed, "Run." I didn't run at first, I froze. My brain couldn't decide which reality to grab onto. My mom's shaking voice begging me to run, or the stranger on the other side of the door calling herself the woman I belonged to. But the cracking wood snapped me out of it. My mom shoved me toward the side of the room where the heavy cedar chest sat under the window. "Move! Go!" she yelled, her voice breaking from panic and adrenaline. I stumbled toward it just as another violent hit slammed into the door, sending a strip of paint fluttering to the floor. Whoever she was strong. Too strong. Mom scrambled beside me, pulling open the chest lid. Inside were old blankets, dusty photo albums, and VHS tapes that hadn't been touched in years. "Climb in," she ordered. "What?" "We're not hiding in a box." She looked at me with wild, desperate eyes. "I'm not hiding you. I'm buying us 10 seconds, maybe 15. She tossed everything out of the chest and yanked a metal latch inside, revealing a narrow opening I never knew existed. A hidden crawl space. "What is that?" I asked. "The thing I hoped I'd never have to use," she snapped. "Get in." A third slam made the frame splinter along the top hinge. Every instinct screamed at me to run out the window, kick down a wall, jump through the ceiling, anything except lowering myself into some hidden hole in the floor. But the terror in my mom's voice, I had never heard anything like it. Not even close. I climbed into the crawl space. It was just big enough for me to crouch. Mom jumped in right after me and pulled the cedar chest back over our heads, sealing us into darkness. The moment it closed, the door to the den exploded inward. Wood shattered. Something heavy slammed against the wall. And then footsteps. Slow, measured, confident, moving across the carpet. I pressed my hand over my mouth so I wouldn't scream. Mom grabbed my wrist. Her grip was ice cold, trembling so hard her teeth chattered in the dark. We listened. The woman's voice floated through the room, calm as ever. "Nora, you always did love dramatics, a crawl space." "Really?" My heart stopped. She knew. Mom squeezed my wrist harder, silently begging me not to make a sound. The woman continued walking. Her heels clicked softly against the hardwood by the window. "You took something that wasn't yours. You built your life on it. You really thought you could hide forever." Silence. Then the sound of her fingertips dragging slowly across the cedar chest lid. Testing. Searching. I felt her weight shift above us, the wood creaking under her touch. Mom leaned close to my ear. Her breath was barely a whisper. "Listen to me. If she gets this open, you don't fight her. You run. Straight through the kitchen, out the back door. Don't stop, don't look back." I shook my head violently. "I'm not leaving you. You have to." Her voice cracked. "I'll slow her down. I've done it before." That sent a chill down my spine so sharp it made my eyes water. She'd done it before. When, where, how? The woman's weight shifted again. The cedar chest groaned above us. "Nora," she said softly, "I know you're under here, and I know she's with you. You can't keep her from me anymore." "She isn't yours." My lungs burned. Then the woman said something that made my entire body go numb. "I have the paperwork, I have the court order, and I have the right to reclaim what was taken from me." Reclaim, as if I were property. As if I were an object. Mom whispered into my ear, "It's a lie, it's all a lie." But her voice didn't sound convinced. Then the woman kicked the chest hard enough that dust rained down over us. "Time's up." Mom gripped my shoulders. "Do exactly what I say when I move." But before she could finish her plan, we both heard it, Grandma's voice, weak but furious, coming from somewhere else in the house. "Get away from them." A crash rang out. The woman let out an annoyed sigh. And then her footsteps left the room, heading straight toward Grandma. Mom grabbed my face in the dark. "This is our chance," she whispered. "We're not running. We're ending this." Part 6. Second unexpected intriguing twist, 550-600 words. The moment the woman's footsteps faded down the hallway, my mom shoved the cedar chest upward. The lid thumped open just enough to let a sliver of light into the crawl space. She motioned for me to be quiet, her face tight with fear, but also something else. Determination. Rage. A decision she must have made years ago and prayed she'd never have to use. We climbed out silently, both of us shaking off the dust and crawling out onto the carpet. From the hallway came another crash, something heavy hitting the floor, followed by Grandma's pained cry. I started toward the door, but Mom grabbed my arm. "No," she whispered harshly. "You don't run toward danger. You flank it." "Flank it, Mom, this isn't a strategy game." "Do you trust me?" she asked, her voice raw. I hesitated. For the first time in my life, I hesitated. Mom's face crumpled for half a second, but she pushed it down. "Listen, you need to go through the laundry room and cut her off from behind. If she gets her hands on Grandma, she'll use her as leverage." I stared at her. "Leverage for what?" Mom swallowed. Hard. "To finish what she started years ago." She didn't wait for my response. She slipped out the den door and disappeared into the hall, moving with a speed and silence that didn't match the woman I thought I knew. I followed her instructions and ducked into the side hallway connecting the kitchen and laundry room. My heart hammered against my ribs as I crept toward the laundry room door. I could hear voices now, my grandma's and the woman's, but their words were muffled. Then a loud thud made me jump. Something toppled. Something glass shattered. I reached the laundry room doorway and peeked through the crack. What I saw didn't make sense. Grandma was on the floor, clutching the base of the kitchen island with one hand, her face twisted in pain. But she wasn't looking at the woman. She was looking at my mom, and Mom wasn't helping her up. She was standing across the kitchen, blocking the woman's path. Yes, but she wasn't scared. She wasn't desperate. She was angry, not terrified anger, not defensive anger, calculated anger. The woman stepped toward her, breathing hard but controlled. "Move, Nora." My mom shook her head slowly. "No, not this time." "Don't play hero," the woman said. "You're outmatched." "Not anymore." I felt something cold slide through my stomach, because Mom's voice didn't sound like she was talking to a kidnapper or a monster or someone who'd come to reclaim what was hers. It sounded like she was talking to an equal, a partner, someone she knew too well. The woman's lips curled into a small smile. "So you're finally done running?" "I stopped running years ago," Mom said. "You're the one who won't let go." Grandma groaned from the floor. "Nora, don't do this." But Mom didn't look at her. She looked straight at the woman, and I suddenly noticed something I'd been too panicked to see before. Fear wasn't the only thing in her eyes when the woman first came to the door. There was recognition, deep recognition. The woman took a slow step forward. "Let me have her." Mom shook her head. "I can't. Not after everything." The woman's voice dropped to something sharp and lethal. "You made a deal. You took what wasn't yours. You owe me." My mom's jaw tightened. "That deal was poison," Grandma whimpered. "Stop, both of you, she doesn't know the truth." My breathing sped up. "Mom," I whispered from the doorway, "what truth?" Both women turned toward me at the same time. The woman's smile widened. "Ah, there she is." Mom's face went white. "Get back." But I couldn't move. Because everything in their faces, fear, anger, something twisted and unspoken, told me I'd been wrong about the entire situation. This wasn't a kidnapping. This wasn't a custody battle. This wasn't a stranger trying to reclaim her child. This was something older, darker. My mom whispered, almost to herself, "She's not here to take you back." The woman stepped forward. "Tell her, Nora," Mom swallowed. "She's here because I promised her something." The world seemed to fold in on itself. Mom turned to me, eyes glassy. "She's not your mother," she said. "She never wanted to raise you." The woman's smile sharpened. "She wanted your life." For a second, everything in the kitchen went quiet, not the kind of quiet where everyone calms down. The kind where every sound gets swallowed, like the air itself refuses to move. "My life," I whispered. The words felt wrong in my mouth. Mom closed her eyes like she was about to confess something she'd buried so deep it had rotted. "It started before you were even born," she said. "Before I even knew I was pregnant." The woman, this stranger who somehow knew me, tilted her head and watched me with this unsettling patience. She looked almost relieved. Like the moment she had been waiting for was finally here. Mom's voice cracked as she kept going. "I wasn't supposed to keep you. I wasn't even supposed to have you." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" Before she could answer, the woman spoke for her, sharp, fast, surgical. "She made a deal with me, a promise. When she got pregnant, she wasn't ready, she wasn't stable, she wasn't—" "Stop," my mom snapped. The woman ignored her. "She agreed that when the baby was born, I would take her, raise her, groom her the way I'd planned." The word groom made my stomach lurch. Mom's face twisted with disgust. "You weren't going to raise her." "Don't twist it." "Oh, please," the woman said, rolling her eyes. "I told you exactly what I wanted from the start." Mom didn't argue. She didn't deny it. That was the part that broke something inside me. Grandma tried to pull herself up on the counter, voice shaking. "Honey, your mom was young, stupid, scared. That woman exploited her." "Exploited?" the woman laughed. "She walked right into my arms, she came to me." My throat closed. Why would she come to you?" Mom finally looked at me, really looked at me. "Because I was messed up back then. I was 21, homeless, drifting. And she offered me everything. A place to stay, a clean bed, food, work. She made promises I was desperate enough to believe." The woman smiled gently, almost sweetly, and it made my skin crawl. "I saved her life. You own my life, Mom snapped. And you agreed to the exchange, the woman said calmly. You knew the deal. I stepped back, dizzy. What deal? Mom's eyes filled with tears she didn't wipe away. That when you were born, she would get you. The world tilted sideways. I shook my head. No, no, that can't be real. Nobody does that. Nobody trades their baby. I didn't trade you. Mom screamed so loudly it echoed off the kitchen tile. I didn't know what she wanted from you, not really. She let me believe it was adoption. A second chance for someone who couldn't have kids. I was stupid, but I'm not evil. The woman clicked her tongue. You knew enough. No, Mom said, voice cracking. I didn't know the truth until I was already in labor. I felt lightheaded. What truth? The woman stepped closer, her smile widening. Tell her. Mom swallowed hard. You weren't supposed to grow up a normal kid. She didn't want a daughter. She wanted someone she could mold, someone she could break. A cold wave rolled over my skin. Break! The woman's eyes flickered with something dark, devotion, obsession, hunger. Strong-willed children make the best projects, and your mother was too weak, too damaged, too naive to become what I needed. But you— Stop talking, Mom hissed. You were perfect. The woman's voice softened into something almost tender. From the first time I held you, I knew you didn't cry, you just stared at me like you understood. I took a step back. Mom stepped with me, shielding me. The woman's voice deepened. I wasn't going to hurt you. I was going to reshape you, build you into something brilliant, something obedient, something mine. My stomach turned violently. So what, you wanted to raise me like a puppet? The woman smirked. Puppets don't grow into leaders. Mom let out a choked sob. She wanted control, absolute control, over you, over your future, over everything. I didn't see it until it was too late. And then she stole you, the woman added calmly. Snatched you out of the hospital, ran, hid, destroyed everything I worked for. I whispered, why me? The woman looked at me the way a collector looks at something rare and priceless. Because you were the only thing she ever had that I wanted, she said. And I always finish what I start. My whole body went cold. Mom squeezed my hand once hard, then she turned to me and whispered, now you know why we can't run. When my mom said, we can't run, something inside her shifted. The fear that had been shaking her since the VHS tape vanished. She stood taller, straighter, like she had finally stopped being hunted. The woman's smile faded the second she sensed it. Oh, Nora, she said coldly, don't make this ugly. Mom stepped in front of me completely. You made it ugly the first time you touched her. The woman's jaw tightened. I saved you. Without me, you'd have been dead, Mom snapped. Homeless, lost, maybe, but at least I wouldn't have been trapped in your little cult. My breath caught. See, cult? The woman didn't deny it. She just rolled her shoulders back, annoyed. You were supposed to be a mother. Not a thief. Mom ignored her. She looked at me, and for the first time that night there was no shame, no panic, only resolve. I never stopped being scared of her, Mom whispered. But I did stop being weak. Grandma, still on the floor, rasped out, Nora, do it. That was when everything clicked into place. The hidden crawl space, the secret latch, the VHS tape Grandma kept hidden for decades. This wasn't the first time they'd prepared for her. Mom stepped sideways, placing me behind the kitchen island. Stay low, she whispered. And when I say run, go out the back door and straight to Mrs. Kalman's house. She has the file. What file? I whispered. The one that proves everything. The woman lunged forward. Mom moved first. She grabbed the cast-iron skillet Grandma kept on the stove, heavy, black, old, impossible to dent, and swung it with a force I didn't know she had. It connected with the woman's shoulder, sending her staggering backward into the cabinets with a sickening crack. But she didn't fall. She straightened with a snarl. Still the same little coward. Mom stepped between her and me again. Cowards don't steal kids from psychopaths. The woman charged. Grandma, still on the floor, reached out with her cane and hooked the woman's ankle. The woman tripped just long enough for Mom to grab her by the hair and slam her head into the counter's edge. This time she went down. But not out. She was too strong, too trained, too obsessed to stay down. She grabbed Mom's wrist and twisted hard until the skillet clattered to the floor. Then she crawled up Mom's body like something feral, gripping her throat with both hands. Mom's face started turning purple. I didn't think, I didn't plan, I moved. I grabbed the cast-iron skillet, and I swung once, twice, 3 times. The woman collapsed sideways, gasping and spitting blood. Mom fell onto her hands and knees, coughing violently. Run, she rasped. But I didn't move, because the woman wasn't trying to get up anymore. She was staring at me with wide, furious eyes, not defeated, but calculating again. You think this matters, she hissed. You think you've won? You don't even know what you are, you don't know what you were meant to be. Her voice dropped into something low and poisonous. You are wasted on her. Mom grabbed my hand. We're done here, now. She pulled me toward the back door as the woman struggled to push herself up. Grandma croaked, Go, I'll call the police. Don't let her leave, Mom told her. Grandma nodded grimly. I won't. We burst out into the freezing November night, sprinting across the yard. Mom didn't stop until we reached Mrs. Kalman's house next door. She banged on the door with the side of her fist until the old woman opened it. One look at my mom's face, and she didn't ask a single question. She just ushered us inside and locked all 4 deadbolts. Mom collapsed onto the couch, breathing hard. She looked at me with this exhausted, broken relief. You believe me now? She asked quietly. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. Yeah, I do. Then she said it, the truth she'd never said out loud before. I didn't save you because I was brave, she whispered. I saved you because you were the only good thing I ever did, and I wasn't about to let her destroy that. When the police knocked 20 minutes later, we gave them everything: names, dates, the tape, the file. They found the woman in our kitchen, barely conscious, still trying to get up. She was arrested. And this time there were actual records, real proof, a paper trail she thought she'd erased. Mom didn't let go of my hand for the next 2 days. I didn't let go of hers either. And when it was all over, when the officers finally told us she was not coming back, Mom exhaled for the first time since I'd known her. We're free, she whispered. I leaned my head against her shoulder. No, Mom, I told her. We won.